around level 18 to 20, 24 on the Alk, it's fairly good for him. He's really tanky. The Lifesteal actually can't kill him, but I think once the Lifesteal gets the 5-6 slot that we've seen where he has this Heart and he has this AC and this Abyssal Blade and he's just this beast on the map, that's when each hit on the Alchemist is healing Lifesteal for a quarter of his health.
Oh, there's another save on RNG here with Abaddon picked up. I think they've run it in a variety of positions. Classically, Lana playing it as a 4 maybe or a 5, but yeah, it'll be great as help keep the Alchemist alive. You can disrupt him. You can also dispel the Spirit Vessel. So it should give them good capabilities to cover either the Lesh or the Alp.
And it feels so good against like the big team fight of Tide Enigma. It's a hero that maybe doesn't care if he gets Black Hold if he's in the front line.
I'm more inclined that they're going to put the Abaddon on the 3. If this Abaddon ever gets an Ags and he pops ult during Black Hole and Ravage, no one's going to die.
Yeah, we've seen a few of the teams from the Chinese team run that 3-position Abaddon at this tournament.
I also think they can tri-lane this out because they want to give him a good early game with the Shadow Demon Lesh support duo. And they just get Disruption into stun with an Acid Spray, and then they can maybe get a kill.
I think they're inspired by Sumail to bring back the mid-Lesh rack after that earlier series. Mid-Lesh is looking really strong right now.
It's looking strong, but at the same time, there's a lot of these heroes that are going to jump the Lesh, and his save is not enough, I think.
Okay. What would you say World Never Give Up's lacking with their draft now that they're going to their last pick?
An early game, like, physical damage hero that they can group up around 4. I think maybe Death Prophet could be a good hero for them right now. It kind of gives them this... They have enough save for a Death Prophet, I think, where he can get this Yule's BKB Ags, and he'll just kind of frontline with the Abaddon and the Lesh. They have a lot of tower push together. It's also really good against Snakes throughout almost every stage of the game.
Do their last spending. I do like having the idea of heroes that can punish some of these long cooldowns. Enigma Tide, something I always talk about is, you know, their ultimates, you're spending 2 minutes of downtime after you've maybe won a team fight, you respawn 30, 40, 50 seconds later, and you can punish the fact those spells are down.
I like that the RNG fit the Lesh into the lineup, not just because it's nice to have 2 cores that are frontliners, but also because it gives them a way to take tower, take towers while Alchemist is busy somewhere else. Whereas on the VP side, it's pretty common for Enigma to get a Vlad's or a Helm of the Dominator doing the same thing. The Shadow Shaman also going to further that too, with ward drops.
Yeah, so it's going to be a mid-Lesh and a 4 Shadow Shaman. I think this is now not going to incline a defensive tri-lane at the start of the game. I think they're most likely going to put the Shadow Shaman with the Abba, try to give him a few levels, and I think once Abaddon's level 3 probably, they can abandon him. The Lifesteal can't harass him with the open wounds, he's always going to be able to shield it off, and then the supports are going to be able to tri-lane this Alchemist.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, this is a lot of tower push coming out from World Never Go with the Lesh and the Shaman. So the ability to pressure even while the Alchemist farm is definitely there. Something that VP have to be careful they're not too greedy around some of their heroes now.
I think they need to pick a low cooldown, like kind of flashy hero for their mid laner for Virtus Pro. I think maybe Invoker could be okay. It's a little greedy, but I think he can go the Kloss Wex build. Is really good this game. He gets an Urn. It's really good against the Alchemist as well. It lanes well against the Leshrac, so I think Invoker is probably one of the top picks for Virtus Pro.
I think one downside of their lineup, though, if they go Invoker, is that their long duration stuns are kind of weak. They have like Fire Blast, they have Ravage, they have Black Hole, but outside that, that's pretty much what they're limited to. So it might make it really difficult to get pickoffs, even just small ones.
So do you think maybe something like a Dragon Knight for a little more stun, kind of frontlining your towers?
The Dragon Knight could be potentially good. I kind of like the idea. Yeah, sounds okay.
It's also this, you know, blink buyer, so your Enigma and your Tidehunter have like an easier way of following you up. The DK can do the actual initiation, and then the other two can just counter initiate.
That helps so much too. I see a lot of teams successful with Tide in that way. The initiator jumps in, stuns the guy, Tide blinks right on top of him to guarantee the stun the outsider guys. It guarantees those easy kills. And they grab a Storm Spirit. It's a VP hero.
Storm Spirit last pick for Virtus Pro, and no one classic. And it's a man who knows VP and the CIS region very well. We're going to hear his final thoughts on the draft before we hop ourselves into it. Here's Dendy.
Hello everybody, so what we see here is Row Never Give Up. We have an insane pressure lineup with Rasta Leshrac. We're gonna create a snowball thing, move around together, and then we also have a timing hero like Alchemist who's gonna get his fast radiance at Dagger and then go in, and we're gonna see a lot of crazy action right there. What about VP? We're like bears, we need to farm some honey. After we farm some honey, and we have Enigma for late game, so if we deal the game to BKB Enigma, Royal Never Give Up have almost nothing to counter it. They have no cancels. So we're gonna see Bears farming some honey to fight, and Royal Never Give Up like a honey badgers move in. So it's gonna be crazy fight. Giving it to handsome casters, Blitz and Cap.
That's right, we've got our handsome casters here, and it's Honey Badgers versus Bears. And honestly, Denny's just amazing. That was a really apt analogy to what we're going to be seeing here in this game, right, Blitz?
Yes, he did it in a way that even you could understand.
That's true. I was sitting here as a play-by-play caster going, I don't know what's going on, but now I know. Honey Badgers versus Bears. Surely in nature, Bears win out, right?
Yeah, I'm sure Toby's like writing notes in the back. He's like, that makes sense. As we're going to get into a game, it feels like for whatever reason, everyone picks Storm around me.
Yeah.
It's going to happen again.
You know, it's just your good luck charm. What can you say?
It's not, because I think he's going to lose this game later.
Ooh, really? So you're siding with the Honey Badgers here. Is that simply because they have an Alchemist?
I just think it's kind of going to be a little bit rough.
Why? Why is it going to be rough? Is this not the free Storm game? They don't have a ton of stuns, right? They've got one instant disable, which is the Shadow Shaman. What doesn't make it a good Storm game, Blitz?
I feel like his timing is just going to be a little bit rough. Like, I think he is going to miss his timing. Every time he zips in, he's going to have a hard time, because part of what makes Storm easy and fun to play is you can burst the backline support, get in, get out, and suddenly you have a 4-on-5 fight. But I think in a game like this, it's not as easy to do that. When you go in, you're going to go into this Abaddon who you can never burst down or kill. We saw Koikfa's Storm playing against the Leshrac. It's not easy to play against that stun. Shadow Demon and Shaman. Shadow Demon is a surprisingly annoying support to play against for Storm, because he has a hard reset button. If you don't go on Shadow Demon, he's going to get you every single time, or he's going to save his teammate. And then Shaman's there to sort of protect him as well. Like, they have good ways to defend around that.
Virtus Pro, they were sitting on the high ground. RNG, though, marching in force with the 4-man, trying to secure these bounding runes and maybe getting a first blood as Ramses chose to open wounds to try and get a kill, but instead, he may fall. Last shot from Lana. The second place finisher at Ti9 will secure the first blood for RNG.
So I really liked how Dendi put it, though. He was saying one team is going to be very aggressive, the other team's just going to farm up. VP, they have to play around the Enigma more than any other hero. I feel like Roger needs to have a big performance. It's not really going to come down to the Storm's game. If you're no one in a game like this, you're just going to rotate around the map, try to open up the side lanes as much as you possibly can. And that's all you can really do. The game, I think, is not fully in his hands.
I don't think I've ever seen a more value, at least with the new Curse of Avernus, a more value level 1 Curse of Avernus for Flyby there. Got a lot of damage against the Tidehunter. They actually have a 1v1 matchup here while running a defensive tri-lane to try and protect the Alchemist. VP, though, trying to assert some early aggression, running the Lifestealer into the Alch. I'm sure this is all just about trying to shut down Monet's farm, right?
Yeah, if you can make it so that the Alch doesn't hit that 12 to like 13 minutes Radiance timing, I mean, most people can get it by 11. But if you can slow it down to the 20-minute mark, 18-minute mark, you're going to have a lot of room to play with.
They can also be greedy with this Roger 4-position Enigma, but Lanham, he knows what this Enigma wants to be able to do. He wants to be able to free farm the jungle, and that's why he's there, trying to sap some of that experience, maybe take a last hit or two.
I think he's doing the right
thing. Kill some
here.
Eidolons, and Shadow Shaman's base damage so good for this.
Yes, and Roger's going to deny it, but getting him out of the jungle and forcing him away so they can't help out this bottom lane, I think is completely the right idea. This is what's going to allow Monet to have a free lane.
Now it means the Enigma won't be able to just like pop over to that bottom lane, go for a gank with a Malefice or something like that. And Shadow Shaman, Lanham can choose to assert his dominance, right? He can either continue to follow Roger around into that other jungle, or he can go back and go for the full defensive tri-lane around Monet.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they can just go towards mid and harass out no one. Like, slowing down his game makes it so that you're protecting your side lanes anyways. And that might be what he opts to do. Just hanging around here, maybe looking for the courier, but bottom lane.
Look at all these stacks with the disruption as well. They're going to be able to get the 5th poison, and perhaps another one that's not going to be enough to kill solo, but it will do a significant amount of damage. We're seeing the power of this 5-position Ogre. It started things off really well for Secret and CG in that game 3, just bodying the Enchantress, and here Solo having its influence in the bottom lane as well.
Yeah, the best part about playing an Ogre is just the pure amount of regen that you have in armor. This hero does not care about training. It's like one of the few 5 position heroes that just doesn't really feel bad ever about it. And Roger, if you see, I mean, Lanham is not giving him an easy time in the jungle. He's taking the last 2 hits right there. I think he understands that Roger's the key hero, like we talked about. The Enigma Black Hole is the best spell in this game. If you know that, slow down the Enigma's game. And conversely, what that'll do is just help your Alex game, as Monet even digs in the middle of them.
Having a little fun with it. How's our mid matchup supposed to go here? The Storm Spirit versus the Leshrac. No one doing very well for himself. Is he outplaying Setsu, or is this how the matchup goes?
I think you have to win the first wave if you're Lesh.
Okay.
That's usually how it goes. Like, you have to hit the first stun, get the range creep, harass out, and then you can win the lane pretty easily.
So the onus is on you. You have to be able to land the split burst and kind of put pressure on the Storm Spirit right away. Yeah,
because if you think about it, until level 3, your Lightning Storm isn't going to be very good.
Yeah.
Like, right now, at level 2, as a spell, 120 damage, doesn't really hurt you that much. Storm's got good enough base armor that it deals with the Leshrac's right click pretty well. So it means that you have to take advantage of going for the range creep, getting the last hits on them, and he's just not doing so right now.
An Invis Rune to be able to reset, but Apu is here. Is he going to try and grab it? Fire blasted up. Solo says, sorry, buddy, but I can't give you this refill of the bottle. I'm going to have to take it for myself. Apu turns around, slowing down the Storm Spirit, knowing that if Solo got another stun, he might have given up the second kill.
And look at this, once again, Lanham chasing out Roger. He's going to cancel the clarity. No.
Dude, Lanham is relentless. It seems both in life as well as inside of this game. This is a man who attended the first international, was on E-Home, managed to play second, and has continued to play for this long. Very, very few times do you see a player have such a long career.
You know what this reminds me of? The way that he's playing this Shaman is sort of how a lot of teams treat Bounty versus Chen.
Yeah.
Where they just walking around.
5-minute bounty runes. Roger reveals himself. He's carrying the bounty runes, but RNG with an Alchemist, they're fine with the 2-2 split any time of the day.
The thing that does scare me about Lanham's game, though, is eventually this Enigma will catch up.
Yeah.
Like, he'll hit level 3, he'll have level 2 conversions, and he'll be just fine. Whereas Lanham, I mean, he's in a different position entirely, as they do spot him jungling, but they want to try to make the rotation on the Storm mid before he hits level 6. They'd like to lead with Afu if possible, so he's going to go all the way around to get the complete sandwich.
This is about that time that no one would usually rotate into the jungle to finish off his level 6, right?
Yeah, they're trying to anticipate that right now, and that's exactly what he's going to go for, but he's going to walk in,
Setsu. They get there in time. Setsu and Lanham, they're going to be able to get the Ether Shock as well as the Split Earth held until after the Shackles. They'll be able to get that kill. Trading out Lanham is no big deal for RNG. Getting the very, very big kill and shutting down no one and keeping him at that crucial level 5 is what the goal was.
That was really well done by Afu. He decided to go for the left angle in, because if no one does indeed decide to go for the jungle right there, it completely just wastes 2 people time.
Yep.
But instead, he goes in, finds the angle, completely goes around, and that's just being patient. And he reads no one perfectly. A lot of Storms at this point will just farm out this side jungle camp, get their level 6, and then you have a free lane. The Leshrac will never kill you.
And once he gets into that position, right, it's really hard to gank him because he's right on the high ground. Your smoke is going to pop. He's going to spot you. He's right by his shrine. There's going to be TP rotations. So it was crucial for RNG to catch him before he retreated to his jungle. Lanham is going to be spotted.
And he's just trying to soak
by that
XP,
ward.
trying to slow down Roger as much as possible. But like I said, he's going to hit level 2 conversions. Lanham's still level 2 only.
How do you fix this problem for Lanham? Does like Setsu at some point give up the mid lane to Lanham for him to be able to make a comeback?
I'm not sure, because it's a little bit scary having a Tidehunter in the game. Especially when he has this many levels early on. What ends up happening is any sort of initiation that happens, you can sort of play like a Quap or a Puck where a fight goes on, your team's getting assailed under the tower, you TP in, and you threaten with Ravage.
Look at Flyby, he's just laying into Pasha, and Pasha for the most part has been ignoring him, and the CS reflects that. Pasha really has not been shut down by Flyby all that much. It's just a few CS behind him, despite the fact that we do have this 2 levels Curse of Avernus plus Phase Boots on the Abaddon. Solo trying to interrupt Monet's farming.
Yeah, they're going to bring up Roger here too.
But Monet does have the Chemical Rage. He's going to pop it here. Afu Also rotating over to make sure there isn't a greater force of VP heroes. Everything's all about Monet right now, and this is not the Alchemist of old where you're farming up to be able to get 4 or 5 items and then you're finally a threat. This is a very mid-game centric Alchemist in the meta right now. Lanham's going to be gone on the bottom lane. Pasha rotating out of his lane. He says, time to take some tower, boys. They cannot fight into the Ravage, and so they should be able to get that kill and that tower for free-ish.
And this is the best part about this Tidehunter, is because he's been given a free lane, you know that he's strong. He has Phase Boots, Bracer. It's not easy to burst him. You don't want to fight around him. Ramsey's TP's top, but Flyby is not an easy kill either.
And that's why I said ish, right? Is that Flyby was going to try and pressure that top tower, but Ramses does manage to clear out most of the creep wave, keeps the pressure off that tower, still getting CS. He's just not really threatened by a solo Abaddon all that much.
And they're going to run into Solo here.
Oh, Monet managed to get the kill on Solo.
I mean, he hung around for so long. Like, Monet was just farming.
Yeah.
He kept poking his head, and at some point, somebody was going to come in. Like, the fact that he didn't think he was going to get punished for that was a little bit crazy, but doesn't really mean too much as it's just an Ogre. The bigger news for VP is they were able to defend their top tower and get the bottom one for free.
They're trying to Setsu here is going to be pulled back to Solo with the Fire Blast. Chain setting him up. Setsu still alive, but the final nail in the coffin is going to be the Gush from Pasha. It's another rotation by him, picking up this team fight. You expected maybe that he would be farming his lanes for 15 minutes, but no. This has been an active Tidehunter as soon as he's gotten level 7.
He needs to be too, because he doesn't have a 4 position. There's no other playmaker in the game for him.
Yeah. 3-3, 10-minute bounty runes are coming up, and you know, with an Alchemist in the game, there's always going to be fight about it.
Yeah, plus no one is a little bit hampered by all the action that happened, the gank. He just got treads. It's not fun to gank his Storm without treads. Don't have enough attack speed. You want the ability to tread swap when you do gank. Now that he has it, maybe he gets active trying to build into that Kaya. I'd like to see him rotate and play around this top lane, though. I don't think that Flyby is really the hero that you necessarily want to go for. He's not an easy kill, and I feel like it takes too long. The alternative is I could see them collapse into mid-tower. I'd like to see some sort of smoke play, bring your Ravage, show how strong your Tide is at all times. The only downside is they don't really push towers that quickly.
No, they certainly do not. The only reason they took bottom is just because they had 4 heroes there. Yeah, that's maybe part of the reason Pasha has been hanging around this jungle area. He's taking away from Monet while simultaneously putting sort of a passive pressure on mid lane, ready to make that rotation. While top lane, Ramsey's trying to go and kill on Lanham, but there is going to be the Aphotic Shield, and if anything, Ramsey's got to be careful. If his rage runs out, Flyby could go for the silence, but that's what Infest is for. Takes away the Siege Wagon while the rest of his team with the Siege Wagon of their own.
So this is the play that they make. Bring your Tide to the front line, and Flyby's like, you can do that to bottom, but not to mid.
Yeah.
This is the correct play. They were making it around the Siege Wagon. They brought all their cores here. We talked about how important it is in our other cast too. Protecting this mid tower is what enables some of the greedier cores like Alchemist. It's what allows you to protect the jungle without having to smoke, as Lanham forced the TP out of top.
All the more important when you're matched up against an Alchemist, right? Like trying to take away some of his farm. Take advantage of the fact that he is AFK jungling right now, is not going to come out of that area until he has Radiance plus 1 item, usually maybe Blink, possibly AC.
And I'd like to see them continue to try to go for this mid tower, though. Let Roger get his mech. He's somewhat close to it. Make your way towards mid. Show the strength of your 5-man.
It's hard, though. With Flyby sitting there, he is so farmed. Sitting at 5,200 net worth, even ahead of the Lifestealer with Vlads and Phase Boots.
He's serving a similar purpose as the Tidehunter, but he wasn't forced to go for the 5-man as early. Yeah. That's the big difference here. He's gonna run into Pasha.
Backstroke nearby, but RNG, who had smoked up on the high ground, they're going to be able to find him. Purging Pasha. They're going to be able to get the silence on him as well. Pasha holding on to the Ravage for a while, but now he can turn. Papa potentially does manage to get it off the hole. Right on top with the 3-man black hole. They got completely baited in. That watermelon looked awfully delicious, and RNG wanted to take the bite. They do manage to finish off the Tide, but it's going to cost them 2, possibly 3. Another Aphotic Shield activates the Shrine. Flyby, very tanky here. Knows that he needs to be able to fight back. He's got no other options. A second round of Aphotic Shield for him. Is VP really going to try and chase him down all this way? Another Aphotic Shield's coming up. but the Fire Blast multicast comes just a bit too late and a bit too far away.
Still a very good fight for them is they're going to run in, find art style here, war trapped up by Lanham, trying to get out, but this should be enough as Lanham picks up the last hit, but Ramses during this entire time trying to get back into this game through the farm. But he might be a little bit behind right now because the Alchemist has just completed his Radiance during this time.
What is the timing that you're usually looking for with a Lifestealer against an Alchemist? How does that matchup really work?
I don't know, because I don't think you can go straight up for the Radiance.
Yeah.
I feel like that loses you the game, which is why indeed he opts to go for the Armlet, because you're always going to be one item behind the Alchemist in that regard.
Yeah.
He'll get BKB, AC, then he's unkillable anyways.
And your damage over time just really isn't going to have effect on an Alchemist.
Yeah, you want burst.
Rage. You want that big burst, so that's why he's going Armlet. Probably, what, Deso after that? Maybe an AC at some point?
Yes, I'd like to see... I could see Deso AC.
Yeah.
I think that's the perfect build, in fact.
And you've got the lineup to be able to end a Storm Spear.
The only downside is their initial burst is going to come onto the backline.
Yeah.
What'll happen is Ramses hops into the Storm, they try to catch out the Shadow Demon. Once he gets bursted, maybe then you move on to the Shaman, and you sort of have to just leave the Alch for last. Hope that you have enough control for him, which VP likely do. Their lineup just has to greed out a little bit more because of Roger.
Setsu. Virtus Pro, they have their eyes on him. The slow roll forward from no one is going to be able to catch Setsu. The TPs are coming in. The Shadow Demon looking to be able to get that disruption, but he's just not there in time. Afu now looks for the offensive disruption. He's got both Flyby as well as Monet, who's going to make his first showing with the Radiance. Solo is going to be the victim once again of RNG's rotation.
And they feel fine about that. The Storm gets out no problem. Was able to pick up the last hit because of that plus 30 overload damage talent. A lot more Storms have been taking it lately. And it especially helps if you're trying to enable other cores. If you know that you're not the real one position, which I don't think he is in a game like this. All he has to do is be able to fight in the mid game. And RNG are taking advantage of this.
Words being used with that curse as well.
And Setsu's not quite there yet. Maybe they take the fight.
On him. He's going to be a little bit low immediately. The Aquatic Shield comes out. They turn around. Heck. Oh, no one didn't expect that one, but he is going to be saved. He is able to jump out. Now the Ravage coming down is going to be able to hit the Abaddon while they focus down the Shadow Demon, but he managed to get off the disruption. Can Flyby save him, or else he's just going to focus on Monet entirely. Monet in front of all these heroes now with Setsu in with Radiance as well, as this burn damage coming out from the Leshrac. It's too much for VP to be able to handle. Oh, Ramsey's trying to man fight against this Alchemist with the Fire Blast. Can they actually do it with the Gush as well? So much minus armor. Monet no longer has Chemical Rage, and he's actually going to fall. No one dies, but it looks like VP will take on Setsu as well, with Hasha living through it all. RNG, they came through and thought that they were bigger than VP with their Radiance and Leshrac timing, but it didn't work.
No, Setsu is still dead. For a little bit too long, he's making his way up, just doesn't have enough time. As Lanham gonna run into the Tide real quick, but I mean, Pasha in this game has been an absolute monster. His positioning, the way he's been using his Ravage, his team fight, his positioning in that fight enabled all of that.
I think what's cool about that is that his movements and stuff have been very atypical of Tidehunters.
Yes.
Right? And it takes a smart player to be able to think outside of the box, think outside of your average Tidehunter games, and think about what will win us this game.
Oh, for sure. Pasha right now is playing to win 1-1-7, but his score doesn't really quite reflect the impact that he's had in this game.
Yeah.
He's just been a thorn in RNG's side, and you'd like to see them bring him here so that he can defend mid, and look at that, he's here again, so they're going to make the jump.
For the captain of VP, but Lanham, he's going to be a one with a beautiful black hole, managing to lock down to 3, and it looks like Monet's going to get popped before Flyby could provide any sort of saving grace. Now Wafu will die as well. How many times are you going to kill Solo before you realize it's just a bait?
And they all have range heroes. They have a lot of range heroes, but they keep running into the black hole of Roger. And again, it's Pasha leading the defense for his team, telling them, we're not giving up this tower.
Nope.
And as a result, they're going to take mid tower for themselves. This is going to open up the jungle for them to take advantage of, and that's exactly what they draw around. They're saying this area is now ours. Don't allow RNG back in here.
Very decisive movements from VP, whether it's taking that top fight or this one right here, reading the fact that RNG have put themselves in a bad position trying to move into that high ground after Solo, and all get clumped up for just a beautiful black hole. Even if they didn't have Ravage, VP still red. That was a good fight to take.
I think RNG's thought process there was there's no Ravage up, and we have so many different cancels for this Enigma.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we? Top lane.
Oh, look at that win probability. It's nasty already. VP with the 82% win probability by 17.5 minutes in. I mean, Dendy said this is going to be Bears who are just going to be farming up some honey. VP have been doing that. They have the better late game with this Storm Spirit, Tide, and Enigma combo. Let's not forget that Lifestealer and Ogre are not slouches in the late game either. This is really concerning for RNG.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that we all thought was VP would be a little bit more passive. I think even Dendy thought they'd be a little bit more passive, and they just sort of been running at them, and it's all on the heels of Pasha. I can't talk about his play enough in this game because I feel like his positioning, the way he's rotating around, protecting his team's towers and leading fights. This is a Tidehunter without Blink Dagger, and he's always in a good position. Bottom lane.
Jumping forward. Oh no, he actually pulled down the illusion. And
this might be a death now.
Ramses is way too far forward as a result. A bit of an error. Oh, Ravage going out, but now Ravage has been used for nothing. VP, now it's their turn to make some errors as the pressure of TI continues to crack teams.
Maybe, I think if he actually hits the right one, probably gets out.
Yeah.
He doesn't get purged there. It's pretty quick.
He quickly kills the Shadow Demon. Might be able to infest inside of the Storm Spirit. They get out together, but now RNG have an opening here. Now it's their turn to punish mistakes. Getting a Roshan like this is really going to kill VP's timing that they were getting to, where they were able to actively and confidently contest RNG.
And without the Black Hole, without the Ravage, that's really what signals this. Is
I mean, I can't believe they're really going to try this without Black Hole, without Ravage, but the Midnight Pulse is forcing RNG outside of the pit. Now the disruption going in, they're going to try and get the kill onto the Storm Spirit, and they've got it too. With the Yield Scepter into the Split Earth, and the Unstable Concoction as well. Ramses trying to finish off some of the supports, but there is going to be the disruption now from Afu. Flyby is ready to go with some heals as well. Lottom's going to be able to limp away. No one with a buyback is going to be able to finish off at least one support, but Ramses, he needs to be able to get out of here with his Rage Timer, but the Unstable Concoction nails him. He's trying to get away from Flyby right now. Slow it down. Oh, the Black Hole instantly gets canceled by Setsu. Beautiful Yield Scepter by him, and now looks to be able to chase down the heroes. They couldn't actually get the two big cores of VP, so it'll have to suffice for Roger. The 4th position Enigma, he will be the one to fall. And RNG, can they go back to the pit after a short pit stop at the Shrine? Roshan still at 2,000 health.
Absolutely, this is theirs for free now. The Black Hole just came up, wasn't able to accomplish enough. And this is going to be relatively free for them.
Yeah, look at that. Monet carrying that fight when it comes to the damage, but it's also the disables and the saves from the other RNG members.
It's if one hero can't get you, another one will. They have so many different ways to protect each other, which is what we were waiting for. They finally get off a clean fight.
And all those buybacks, the two supports of RNG bought back, but well worth it to be able to get a buyback out of no one while still claiming the Aegis.
And Lifestealer going for the Deso, it looks like.
And he's almost got it. At least getting within striking distance, but he can't afford to die here, and he's already used the invest. That's going to make things awkward, especially if he gets hexed up by Lottom, who had the Aether Lens, was able to get the stun outside of the tree range, and Ramses now being up. Does have the rage up in a second, but he won't be able to TP away so easily if Monet can actually find him and punch him down, but they went left while Ramses went right. 12-16, and we've got ourselves a pretty even game, and it is an Alchemist game, so that net worth being even may still be in the favor of VP, but RNG with the Aegis should be able to start knocking down some towers and build up a bigger net worth lead.
The scary part about the Aegis at this point is it gives you so much map control.
Yeah.
This is what's going to enable RNG to get a little bit more space on the map. They were sort of getting choked out for the time being, but this is how you continue to protect your jungle. If you notice the 2 wards that they were able to place as a result of these fights. And now they can get a little bit more aggressive.
They're just going to do that classic sweep from tier 1 to tier 2. They're strong enough that VP don't want to contest the first. There's still no Black Hole up. There is going to be a Ravage, but I don't think they're contesting Monet and all these Serpent wards. On the other side of the map, there is Roger. trying to get some damage onto the tier 1 tower, but doesn't quite finish it off. If anything, Monet is going to be happy to find some Eidolons to farm.
Top lane not being denied for the time being. They're going to D-ward, reset the map a little around their Alk. There's only one more tier 2 tower to take, but it's the mid tower. And it's not an easy one.
But do you think RNG should go for it? What should their plan be with this remaining Aegis timer? Can they just boldly go to the tier 2, or is the team fight of VP too scary?
I think it's always scary. I think the better move is to sweep out this jungle as a group. Try to get wards down if you have any. Take advantage of this, but they actually don't have any. So maybe they just go down mid. They can meet the creep wave, it's almost there.
Monet, they push down top. He's gonna cut in this mid lane as well.
I think if you're VP,
Storm Spirit.
Oh, they'll wait for the BKB on Enigma first.
Oh, is that coming in? Ooh, they do not have a cancel for it, so that would be a sick pickup. But RNG, they're going to push the pace. They've already taken this tier 2, but they are showing no signs of slowing down as Monet is going to go for the stun onto Solo, the follow-up, the split earth, a clean kill, no rebuttal from VP, and now going to be forced into a 4 versus 5.
And look at this tower, it's going down really quickly.
Yeah, Monet's just chopping it to bits, but they do have the Lifestealer and Fast combo. Money got hexed, as well as Fuel Scepter. They're going to try and hit with the split earth, and no one, he's just dead with that. No, and looks around, he can actually save him with the black hole on top, and he takes out. It's only the, and no one doesn't have buyback either. Apu does manage to actually kite around the Lifestealer as well. This is a disaster for VP.
And Apu's good.
Swims away, but the unstable concoction is taking. It's going to find the Tidehunter. He's going to burn out from the Radiance and the Aphotic Shield explosion. Just a little
Apu's still getting chased.
HP, but he's still good. And Ramses, who had been making this chase for so long, he does have his rage. He will be able to fight back, but what can he really do with it? Setsu, he's so mobile that Ramses certainly won't be able to bring him down. He's going to be forced to TP back to base, and that is going to be a mid lane of Barracks at least, if not more, with 40 seconds on the clock for no one.
Ramses just chased Apu around the map for almost a minute. Doesn't die, wasn't able to help his team.
And again,
they're just going to go for it.
Solo will fall. Roger has the buyback. Oh no, they're going to lose Ramses as well, who instantly buys back. How is VP going to stop this push? Is RNG? They seem unstoppable right now.
It's happening in a hurry right now, Cap.
They're going to try and go for Apu with the Solar Crest, Aphotic Shield. Somebody heals coming out from the Mist Coil as well. They're going to turn onto Ramses. Monet runs out of the chemical range. A nice Fire Blast stun onto Monet. And now without the chemical range, they're going to try and bring down this Aegis. Monet, he's somewhat okay with this. They're actually going to try and focus on some of the other heroes as Monet will slowly take out. But first, he'll be able to bring
Monet's still alive.
Flyby. You have to deal with Monet at some point in time. He has the Radiance at burning you down. He has that AC aura. Now he's going to
nice
the BKB. But if they finish him off, there it is. They just wait out the Aegis. A beautiful read by VP.
It did cost them the racks, though.
It certainly did. That could not feel good for VP as they're down 9,000 net worth, 1.5 lanes of Barracks.
That's one of those weird situations where I think they knew that the Aegis was about to fade out. They had a better timer on it, obviously.
Yeah.
But the downside of it is the 100 HP Alk just took racks in front of you.
Yeah. I mean, he only needs a few seconds with that Assault Cuirass, even if he's not in chemical rage form.
Come on, I'm going to run into no one here. They found him once again. Doesn't have the mana, though.
Can he get away from this one? The zip. This time, Setsu, he's been really good on the timings. With that Yule Scepter split earth, he's been reacting very quickly, but this time, he missed on no one.
And for the next fight, they will have the BKB Black Hole, but I mean, timing-wise, what we've learned is Dendy's right.
Yeah.
They're going to ball up. They're just going to sort of go for it. I think VP were outplaying them. They were overplaying their late game lineup by taking these really smart fights. But they missed 1 or 2 ultis, and all of a sudden it just resets the game. They're able to take Roshan. I mean, they just march down towers.
We saw the win probability was heavily in the favor of VP at one point in time, but no longer. As now it's siding heavily with RNG, as it should. And it's going to take a bit of a miracle here for Virtus Pro. Let's see what they're able to pull off. Their backs against the wall in this game one. Virtus Pro have long been known to choke at the International. You heard it themselves. They said they don't know what it is, but the International is just a special tournament. And everybody else seems to fare okay, but VP always perform much worse than they have the rest of the DPC season. And the hope was that coming into this tournament, not being the front runners, not being one of the top 3 teams, may have given them a little more leeway against some of the other teams. Maybe they didn't study Virtus Pro as much. But being in the lower bracket and now potentially 1 game down against RNG, the VP curse seems to be returning. 17-18, 28 minutes in.
And this is where you stop things. There's no one. He's looking for the jump right now, but doesn't want to go in first. Doesn't have a BKB.
Yeah, we've seen that because the lack of the BKB, both the Shadow Shaman and Setsu's Leshrac,
Here's the problem.
super fast on their timing.
You go in for Lanham, he gets disrupted.
Yep.
Fight stuck.
Yep.
Fight just ends. You can't go on flyby. And if you can't go on flyby, then he'll just reset the fight for his team anyways. All your stuns are cleared out. He feels fine. Even if he gets Ravaged, just pop his ulti.
VP
gonna
gonna
go in?
smoke up. They decide they're gonna try and fight around these shrines.
Oh, they went on the illusion!
They went on the illusion! They do it!
Oh no! He's just realized!
BKB! He does manage to get the black hole. The backline just evaporated! The 2 supports are already down. Setsu stunned up on the side here, but the cores of RNG are fighting strong, and they've already got a bash on Roger. The Meg's gonna be able to heal him up a little bit more. Miss Cole not gonna be enough. Ramses gets the rage off as well. Can they help him? He's got an infest. He should be able to get away. No one's
out of
mana! Just shy of being able to get to the other side of the cliff, but now he's stuck and now he's dead.
Oh no.
He has the buyback though.
That initiation. It took them so long to realize too. If they had the damage in that fight, maybe this looks a little bit different.
The buyback is available for no one. RNG are here in force. Pasha certainly needs the help. No one tries to jump up immediately, gets hexed up. He's trying to go for Afu. Just you pointed out, anytime he's going for the back line, RNG has the answer, and Ramses will fail to get the kill that no one could not pick up on himself. And now he's being controlled up by the shackles, finished up by
They're just gonna call it.
RNG take game number 1 against the CIS powerhouse of Virtus Pro.
And that game happened in a hurry. We were looking at an 82% win probability for VP at one point, and that was at like 17 minutes. And 10 minutes later, the game's just over.
Royal never give up, as you said, hit him in a hurry. And Monet giving the wave to the crowd, who have been very supportive of RNG, giving them plenty of chance, cheering them on to victory here in game 1.
And now they're 1 game away from knocking out VP, a team that you and I predicted in the group stage before the games had started to potentially be our favorites. They didn't have that pressure going in.
We talked about it, said maybe the VP magic will come back in time for TI. Maybe they've been keeping their heads down, ready to go, but it seems like Virtus Pro, the choke is still real. How did they get their headspace out of this one? Over to the panel.
My goodness, what a game of Dota. And yeah, I think that's really the big thing that we do have to talk about. The casters have said it very, very well. And we look at VP, this is just a tournament sin that has been their roadblock.
Yeah, I was hoping we would see a bit better showing from VP today going into this. Okay, down you go. Yeah, I was hoping VP would just do better overall in this game, but like when it comes to the team fights, the things we're used to seeing from VP in the past is this really good understanding of how to play around each other, who goes in first, how you position yourself relatively. And in this game, I just see countless situations where no one Storm just jumps in, gets hexed, and dies. And when you watch the really top-tier teams of this tournament so far play, they're very good at this, like weaving, buying time, playing off that.
Yeah.
VP, it's just not there.
They're shrinking like Rich, whereas RNG are rising to the occasion.
Major shrinkage.
Yes.
Yeah, I do want to say, there's kind of one moment towards the end of the game, Trent, that all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is looking like it might be done and
Kind of
dusted.
just over. I think like no one, they had that last chance, right, where they tried the initiation, last Hail Mary team fight, and then you have yourself positioned so nicely with the smoke being popped. So no one's like, oh, of course, it's the right Leshrac, but he's hiding out of vision. They go on the illusion, and that was just kind of it. I mean, the game was probably over that point anyway, but that's a nice big defeat there at the end of like still getting a real stylish play.
Now, I do want to take a moment here. We typically don't get to talk about it as much, Toby, because we do obviously have all of our glowy-brained folks over on the draft panel who really do break apart everything.
Would you like
draft.
a dull brain, would you? Like
no,
a little dim light?
We're the cuties.
Oh, the,
right?
the cuties. Yeah, cuties. All right, yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we talk about this draft, I really do want to tear into it for a second because you were the one who really highlighted the draft, right? You were like, it's all going to be about the draft for me. What did you see go down?
You know, the draft actually felt like it was a team secret starter. Like, it was like, okay, we're going to run the Enigma, we're going to run the Tidehunter together, and through this overwhelming power, we'll just take over. The Storm will get some space, but then you kind of get this Ramses life stealer, which is very VP. Like, I'm just going to sit in my lane, I'm going to be able to survive, I'm just going to be able to tank, and eventually I'll carry this game. And that's why I said, like, I want to watch the draft, because I feel like, I don't know if you guys agree, but like, it's just disjointed. Everything doesn't look like it's working towards one objective, unlike what happens when you have like this Leshrac lineup, which is just able to push after you have one good fight.
I don't know if I feel like that was a lineup problem. They actually played a really good early game, and Dota Plus never lies, right?
Yeah.
That was an 80-20 game for VP at one point.
Yep.
You've accomplished the goal of the game. You're leading on gold minute 20 against Alchemist. You're doing great.
But isn't that the key word there?
You're doing
that
great.
Alchemist?
Oh, I thought you meant you're doing
on.
great. VP is doing great. It means they're going to fail.
Did anyone think Alchemist was actually going to lose for a second?
I thought they were definitely.
I thought it was going to happen.
It's Alchemist against Enigma late game, and you have farm on VP's correct heroes. Like, the game is going super well. I don't think that was a drafting problem. I think they got outplayed in fights. Like, and they RNG played around the cooldowns. Tide ultis down, black holes down. They take fights.
Yeah, I do want to kind of put that under the microscope too, because you talk about actually looking and seeing. It looks like it's an 80-20 game. We've seen, and this is back in groups, we've seen comebacks from megas, right? I think we've seen 5 at the tournament already, at least 5 in groups. And the question is, yes, the game has changed. That's more possible than like the first time we saw it all those TIs ago. But when you look at that situation, what is causing it? Is it sheer outplay, or is it actually the onus on the team that throws it? Do you think that there is some additional pressure?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely onus on the person who's ahead, right? Because in order to capitalize on that, mistakes have to be made. I think they were at a point where they had to make a mistake in order for RNG to get back into it. They did. It's also, again, it's the Alchemist in terms of, like, not only can you not, you can never make mistakes, but an Alchemist just punishes it so hard because every second that, like, you're dead, right, he's gaining, he's climbing, he's getting the next item, and selling the next item, and you can't keep up with trying to deal with how he's itemizing against you.
And there's the human aspect too. They can't see the graph. They don't know what state the game is in. You might feel like the game is very different than it actually is. It's easy for us to say, oh, we look at the graphs, we see all the wards, blah, blah, blah. But the teams have their own vision, they have their own read on the game, and maybe VP felt like, okay, we're behind, we need to force fights. And we're just here like, why are you forcing fights? You're winning,
Yeah, this is very, very insightful. And my mother actually just texted me not so long ago, and she was talking about how insightful she thinks Sin truly is. Big fan, Sin.
Yep.
And one of the other things she wanted to know, she goes, they keep talking about Alchemist. What's going on with Alchemist? Why is Alchemist so good?
Because he can make potions.
Okay,
You can tell her that's something she could probably digest. Yep, there you go. Send a text out quickly. Well,
she said Sind lol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she said Sind lol.
Nobody could have seen that coming.
Oh, man.
That was really unpredictable.
He's rich and deep into the bag today.
That's my mom for you, But what is it about the Alchemist? I mean, I can actually rely on you, unlike Sid.
On me?
Well, yeah, what is it about the Alchemist? I heard.
Sure,
Get him, Toby.
I'll answer your question that's not Alchemist related then. I actually kind of felt like Alchemist got a big helping hand by this Abaddon that was just able to also be a frontliner alongside the Alchemist. So even though the Alchemist didn't, like, he was ahead by 1,000, you expect to be like 3,000 around the 20-minute mark. You just win this fight. It's like, okay, now we take Roshan and we push with Aegis Immortal 1 and just shields and harassment from the other. They're like, there was no real answer that they could find to both of these problems, which then just made it so Leshrac didn't have to have all these survivability items, because you could see him like, Lesh, full movement speed build, just wanted to hunt, just wanted to push, enabled by both the Alchemist and the Abaddon.
I can really get behind this idea that Rich is going to ask us a question and we just answer a different one.
Yeah.
I think I could get used to that. I think that's really great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sid, what do you think of me?
Trent, that was a great game. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that was a great game.
It's really good. A little unexpected, I would say, to take game 1 like that, but this is what the fans come for. I mean, definitely these fans came for that, as you could hear. Very excited for RNG because I'm sure, they were here cheering for LGD and VG. They have expectations and hype. Today was more of, I was just like, well, maybe they'll do it. And now suddenly they're up a game. And now they're just going to even further to fall in disappointment like true fans.
Hey, Sim was back in this team. You were back in this from the start.
RNG?
Yeah.
From what start?
Well, the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I said toward the end of the groups, RNG picked up steam, and I think they're showing that they've improved a lot. 'Cause their day 1 and 2 were not good. By the way, do you still want an answer to the Alchemist question? Do you still want to know?
So I want to go back to people who were credit where credit's due. One of the first people who really was hyping up this RNG team was actually Kyle. I remember we were all in a room together with Kyle, and Kyle was just like, I think all of the Chinese teams are looking super good headed into the main event, and he really did.
Keen?
I mean,
Sorry, what? Continue.
Seriously, though, I think we did see a lot from this region as a whole. Keen obviously going to be the first team that does bow out from the region, but they did it in style. I think it was very exciting to watch them play, but we still have 3 Chinese teams here.
Yeah, it's the toughest region, right? Yeah. I mean, sorry, Europe. I think trying to qualify and play there the whole year in China.
Tougher qualifiers. I don't know if the region was harder. There's the European or the Western teams at this tournament are still looking pretty strong.
That's very true, but I think like through the entire year, I'd rather have like played in Europe than China. Does that sound good? No?
How do you feel about that, Sin? Yeah.
It's like 50-50.
Yeah, what do you know, Sin?
Honestly, I think it's 50-50.
50-50?
I think both regions have been really strong. Like, it depends what your goal is, right? If it's qualifying to the majors, in Europe, you're playing against major winners every time, and in China, you're playing against 6th place teams every time.
Well, you're playing against minor and major winners.
Yeah, well,
like Vici Gaming.
That is true. Vici, yeah.
They had to make their way there.
Toward the end of the season, China got stronger. I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree.
Ramped up a little bit in your mind, and hey, it's a pretty good time to do that as well, headed into TI. Now, when we head into the next game, we can start to look ahead now. I think we've really gotten to look at everything that did happen in that first game. VP, how did they really start to break through here? It was the draft. That was the story for you in the first game. Maybe didn't deliver. Is it still the case?
Maybe the guys are right. Well, you normally are. Maybe it's just not down to a draft thing. I still feel like they had a misidentity in the draft. That's why I was talking like the live seal just didn't fit with the rest of it. Even though it fit VP, but again, it was like 2 different identities. But how are you meant to play VP Dota? Like, how do they get back to what they were before? Like, it just doesn't...
They haven't found it. I think enabling Pasha is extremely difficult, and I feel like in their last 2 series, that's what they've been trying to do. And Pasha looked so good at the start of this game, right, on the Tidehunter, but then the previous series, they tried to give him this Pango. He also started the game at top net worth and tried to lead his team and carry it through, but it feels like out of that off-lane position, there's only so much you can do. Whereas before, I feel like they used to be able to kind of give the reins to Pasha in a lot of situations, and he did make that space for Ramses in combination with no one. Now, it just seems too difficult.
I don't know if it's really a drafting problem at this point. Like, you can try to make some adjustments in draft, but I think the main thing is in here right now. And that's really what you got to work on. That's where the coach needs to step in. You know, VP put a lot of pressure on themselves, try to play more freely. The way you can adjust to this in draft is pick heroes that play more freely. Don't pick these like super cooldown reliant. We need to be together all the time and have this tight Enigma, big AoE combos. Pick something that, you know, skirmishes, ganks, Beastmaster, these types of heroes. Pangolier could also work.
Yeah, I mean, it was close.
Still work,
it was still looking fine for them.
I totally agree, but it's such a large order, right? To break a giant mental block. A lot of the times I use this example of the mile, right? And you look back in the history of the mile, and people weren't able to break that record for such a long time because they didn't know it was possible. I think right now, when VP looks inside of themselves, they're not sure if it's possible for them to actually win this biggest tournament, the biggest stage of the entire year, and RNG is going to try to make sure that they aren't able to do it. RNG wants to keep on moving forward here. They can do it in just 1 game, and they have the crowd behind them.
It would just be really fantastic if Virtus.pro can just throw away all care factors. Like, okay, we're down, we're not winning, we can't connect anything up right now. You know what? Just YOLO it. Just pick up any kind of comfort heroes, go back into that zone, and just see how hard you can punch down RNG. As you said, play the short kind of breaks and just, like, get in there.
Toby thinks it's a matter of going for the YOLO. Let's see what Casey and the folks from the squad have to say about that.
So I want to talk about consistency because Virtus.pro is very well known for being consistent. And you're once again coming in after a very successful season to a TI. What do you think is the biggest reason behind the fact that you're able to play so well?
Я цифа.
Ты.
Да, кто отвечает?
Давай ты сначала, потом
я отвечаю.
Да, это на русском.
Ладно. Короче, мы все очень сильные игроки индивидуально, и так сложилось, что когда я пришел в эту команду, был косяк, я как-то, наверное, дополнил ее, и так сложилось мета, наверное, что мы начали всех выигрывать, И потом были некие трудности по игре, но мы с ними справлялись. Некоторые трудности даже остались, но мы будем идти по турниру, как и на каждом, набирать. В этом наша большая сила.
What are you doing differently this time around?
Борис решил, что не поедет на этот International, поэтому мы решили взять панду на этот раз.
What makes Ti9 feel like it could be your most successful one yet?
Панда с нами, враги нападают.
Besides the panda.
Besides the... Так.
Можешь сказать, что твой цвет любимый фиолетовый? Мне, например, да. Ну, единственное, что могу точно сказать, что наша система, по которой мы готовились к International в этом году, она кардинально отличается от того, что было в прошлом, позапрошлом. И, в принципе, это может дать какие-то результаты, потому что мы делали все совсем по-другому, мы рассчитывали по-другому, как-то рассчитали силы по-другому. Мы все-таки... Тогда мы просто очень много тренировались бездумно. Сейчас мы больше пошли в понимание, а не в практику. И мне кажется, мы во многом преуспели.
I asked Secret the same question, so I'll ask it of you too. VP and Secret, you both have a lot of similarities. You're both coming in at the top of the DPC. Your previous TI finishes have been 5th, 6th. How would you compare the two teams? What, in your opinion, what makes VP stronger than Secret, even though you have similar histories?
Чем побеждать будем?
Не
Team
знаю.
Secret не знаешь?
Минером.
Чем мы сильнее? На самом деле на интернешнале ты никогда не можешь быть уверен, сильнее ты какой-либо другой, ну, в какой форме она находится. Например, мы с ними не играли скримы, и мы не знаем, чем они играют, как они играют, хорошо у них или плохо, поэтому все покажет сам турнир.
You've also played together for a long time on the same roster. I just interviewed Kuro, and he said that there are pros and cons to that, and that sometimes it's great because you know what you're getting into, and sometimes it can lead to complacency. What do you say to that, having played together so long?
Да, очевидно, есть и плюсы, и минусы. То, что, ну, минусы, когда бывают разногласия и не можешь прийти к общему, то единственный выход бывает иногда, что, ну, забыть это и продолжать играть, потому что если люди не могут прийти к общему, то это может привести к плохим последствиям. Но в целом мы все друг друга очень хорошо знаем и где-то друг другу уступаем в этом плане. Идем на уступки друг другу, поэтому это делает нас сильнее. И вот и все.
Всегда можно еще водки напиться, если что-то не так.
Да, да. Drink водка, play дотка. Из плюсов то, что мы друг друга хорошо знаем, и как друзья мы друг другу идем на уступки. Вот, если не можем прийти к общему в игре, поэтому это делает нас сильнее.
Мы семья.
Семья, да.
What do you think is different about TI? Because VP has a history of playing really well throughout the season and then coming to TI and placing 5th, 6th.
Я на самом деле не знаю, почему-то у нас часто происходила ситуация, что мы крайне уверенные в себе ребята приезжаем на турнир, и что-то у нас вдруг ломает, скажем так. Что-то происходит такое, что немножко меняет наш взгляд на игру, появляются какие-то разногласия, и, к сожалению, пока что на интернешналах мы с этим, как видите, не справились, не получилось, но я надеюсь, что этот интернешнл пойдет совсем по другому графику.
How does it feel having the international in China for the first time?
Ну, необычно, но мне лично хотелось бы, чтобы для меня ассоциация International это с Америкой, Сиэтлом. Всегда, когда еще не играл ни разу на International, мечтал там играть всегда. Может, тут даже лучше будет, поэтому увидим. Режим ожидания, так сказать.
Very well done. Good job, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Well, originally, before we jump down to the interview, you heard from Toby that maybe they needed a little bit of YOLO to be able to take it. Then we hear maybe they just need a little bit of techies.
Hey, you know what? I'll feel really better when you start using reference points from both Syndra as well as Trent and not from me to start our conversations.
I noticed he's getting closer and closer to you as well. I think he's taking a liking over there.
So you just want to wear a vest, don't you? You need to, like, your used car salesman look is absolutely fantastic, but you need to level up to the vest.
I think it's a safari. Got a couple animals on there. It's
hey,
perfect.
man, we can look at me all we want, but we really want to be looking at the teams here. We want to talk about
that's what
everything
we're
that
here
they have
for,
to-
right?
I thought they were on a safari with the panda. They're all about the panda, right? Isn't that what you're leading into here?
They're all about their energy. Their chakras are blocked. They need to unbreak them.
Can I just say, we've talked a lot about VP. Obviously, they're a big name coming into this that people are expecting a lot out of, and they have flat out just not been delivering, that's fair to say. But I do want to talk a little bit more about RNG, because the reason Kyle had this team rated really high going in was that he'd been talking to some players, and the teams were just saying RNG is destroying people in scrims. Like, RNG were winning all their scrims, they were playing super well. Lots of the teams going into the group stage were expecting RNG to be one of the top placements, and then when it's crunch time, they're not delivering. So maybe they had a bit of a mental problem that they needed to overcome, but now that you start getting those wins, you start out slow, you recover during the group stage, sure, you don't make up a bracket, but you get better and better and better. You win your first best of one, you win your first game against VP. This team is maybe getting to that state mentally that they were in their scrims, and that's scary, because then suddenly if all the teams were scared of these guys and they're playing up to their level, they could go really deep. We've seen lower bracket runs before.
That was exactly what Kyle was talking about. He was just like the scrims, the scrims, the scrims. And I feel like that is something that Kyle has always evaluated really high. I actually remember that kind of the first time that I got to work with a bunch of you guys, and Kyle was talking about the scrims. I believe that time it was actually EG that he was talking about. And how much stock can you put in scrims? Because now you're starting to say it seems like they weren't hitting that form. Maybe they're starting to find it now. Do you think, like, when you get to a tournament that you can look at the scrims a lot and say, okay, this is how we think they're gonna do?
Well, how many times do the scrims actually reflect in the results?
It seems to go the other way more often, I would say. But maybe it's because everyone always hypes up someone, because they're like, yo, I heard that these guys are absolutely destroying the scrims right now. You guys have no idea how good they are. And then they come in and they just place like bottom 4. That is definitely not unusual. You know, like, it happens quite a bit. So there is that element of just getting on the stage. I think it probably helps having someone like Lonham, who can, like, you know, he's been here several times. It's not like all these players are like super new or anything, like they're names that we know, but he's kind of one of those like OG veterans. It's hard to beat him in the whole space.
He was in the first ever grand final of TI. This guy's retired and come back like all the greatest Dota players have. Like, it's he's done coach roles, he's done captain role, he's done like normal roles in teams. It's like, this guy's got everything. And you're right. If these guys get better and better as time goes on, they've got the leadership that's there in the game while the game is going.
And they have more than just one player that's experienced at going far in TI. Monet played on LFY at TI7, who arguably at multiple points of that tournament looked like the absolute best team. They ended up getting third. They didn't manage to get to that grand final, but man, they had some
strong. They were crazy.
They were really, really good. And if we get that style coming out of Monet, maybe he can activate some of the other newcomers to the team a little bit into getting comfortable.
Sounds like they're trying to bring that out of them right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. You look at RNG right now, and you just look at the facts. You get down to brass tacks right now. And I think you kind of say RNG feels like the favorite all of a sudden in this series. They come in as the underdog. I'm not sure how much you guys really get to see from home besides our faces and the players. This place is packed, and there's an overwhelming desire from a lot of these people to see RNG come out on top. And then you have the added factor that you have a team that we're saying has a mental block, and they just lost a game against a team that they didn't expect to lose that first game to. As much as we've seen them in some of the other tournaments throughout the years, whether it's majors, minors, we see them able to drop games, drop series at the beginning of the tournaments, and they're able to wash that all away, and they're able to bounce back. Do you think that they're going to be able to do it here? We're going to find out very shortly, guys. All of the players are inside of the booths. We're ready to get this one started. The fans are already cheering. Let's see, this is an elimination match. Only one can stay with us in TI. We're going to find out who that is right now.
Virtus Pro versus RNG. Game 2.
Time now, game number 2, about to get underway with drafts, picks. Gunner joining me once again, and Dendy as well. Dan, I want to talk to you first. Navi, sorry, not Navi, Virtus Pro, they kind of collapsed after an early game win there. What happened? What went wrong?
Well, it's very weird. Actually, for VP, overall, the tournament is very weird for me because this is a CIS team And usually CS team are very aggressive, but on this tournament both Navi and VP were pretty passive teams. They have like longest games in the tournament, and I was hoping that VP maybe at playoff we're gonna start more play more aggressively, but they picked Enigma, and Enigma is pretty much late game hero where you always deal with the game to the point where it can't get cancelled black hole.